All right, everyone get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into OpenAI's latest and greatest, their new model, O3 Mini. This thing is built for logic coding and really anything STEM. Like if you are into STEM, this is the model for now. And luckily for us, we have their January 31st announcement chock full of juicy details about it.
One of the things that really struck me about this model is its focus on cost-effective reasoning. It seems like OpenAI is really trying to deliver high performance without the crazy high price tag.
And that could really open some doors, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But I think the question on everyone's mind is like, what does this actually mean for our listeners? What does this cost-effective reasoning actually mean for someone who's using this thing?
Well, think about it this way. Faster coding, smoother workflows, potentially even like breakthroughs in research and development.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This model could really be a catalyst for some serious innovation, especially in those STEM fields.
Absolutely. And speaking of things that stood out in the announcement, they've added a bunch of new features too. We're talking function calling, structured outputs, developable messages. I'm not going to lie, some of this sounds a bit like, tech jargon to me.
Well, yeah, of course, these features are all designed to make O3 Mini more versatile and user-friendly,
Mm.
especially for developers.
hmm
So, for example, function calling allows the model to actually execute code directly,
Wow.
which makes it way more interactive. And with structured outputs, you get results that are like organized and easy to parse.
Oh,
So that's like,
it.
which could save a ton of time and effort.
Yeah, so these new features aren't just like bells and whistles. They're really meant to like make the AI more practical and powerful for real world use, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And there's another interesting aspect of O3 Mini that I think developers will really appreciate. Um, it offers these different levels of what they're calling reasoning effort,
Yeah, I saw that.
which essentially lets you like fine-tune the model's processing power.
Oh, yeah. Low, medium, and high reasoning effort. It's kind of like choosing a difficulty setting in a video game. But how does that actually translate to like real world impact?
Well, it gives you more control over the balance between speed and accuracy. So if you need a quick answer, you can opt for like lower reasoning effort. But if you're dealing with a complex problem that really demands precision, then you can crank it up to high.
Oh, that's really clever. So it seems like OpenAI is really trying to make this AI adaptable to different like user needs and scenarios. But all this talk about performance makes me wonder who actually gets to use O3 Mini.
Well, it seems like OpenAI is really committed to making this model as accessible as possible. So ChatGPT Plus, Team, and Pro users get it right away. Enterprise users get it in a week. And even free users get a chance to try it out,
Wow, I don't realize it would be available to free users too.
which is actually a first for a reasoning model in ChatGPT.
Wow.
So this wider access could be a real game changer, I think.
Yeah, it really speaks to their commitment to like democratizing AI. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. How does O3 Mini stack up against the big players? Can it actually compete with models like, O1?
That's the question everyone's asking. And OpenAI has actually provided some pretty interesting data to back up their claims. Their own tests show that O3 Mini is going head-to-head with O1 in math, coding, and science.
Really?
And get this, in some areas, it's actually surpassing O1, especially when using high reasoning effort.
Hold on, are you saying that this thing can outperform O1 on some tasks?
Yeah, it seems that way.
That's pretty impressive. I'm looking at these performance charts right now. I gotta admit, I'm pretty surprised by these results.
Yeah, it's turning heads for sure. For example, in the AE 2024 math competition, O3 Mini with high reasoning effort actually outscored both O1 Mini and O1.
Wow.
And in their PhD level science question test using GPQA Diamond, it's a similar story.
So it sounds like this is more than just like a contender. It's like a real disruptor, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But it's not just STEM either. They are claiming improvements in general knowledge too, right?
Right.
And hold on, is this thing faster? It's faster than O1 Mini too by a significant margin.
Yeah, it's a good bit faster.
Wow. Okay, so we've got speed, we've got power, we've got accessibility. But what about the safety aspect? We've got to talk about AI safety. That's a big deal these days. So what are they doing to make sure that O3 Mini is a responsible AI?
Well, you're right to bring that up. AI safety is super important. And OpenAI has actually implemented some pretty innovative techniques to address that concern. So they've been using a method called deliberative alignment
Oh, I saw that in there.
to train O3 Mini to adhere to those safety guidelines.
Interesting.
It's kind of like giving it an internal ethical compass. And they've also employed red teaming, which involves having ethical hackers try to find vulnerabilities in this system.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like a
So it's a very proactive approach
Yeah.
that's crucial for building trust
Yeah, that makes sense.
in AI and
Mm.
making sure that it benefits society in a responsible way.
So can you tell me a little bit more about this deliberative alignment thing? How does that work?
Sure. So essentially, they've trained O3 Mini to think through human-written safety guidelines before responding to any prompts. So they're basically teaching the model to, like, consider the ethical implications of its actions,
Oh,
which is a pretty big deal
yeah.
in ensuring that AI aligns with, human values.
So it's not just reacting to harmful prompts, it's trying to like prevent harm. That's really cool. And what about red teaming? You said something about ethical hackers?
Yeah, so OpenAI basically hired these ethical hackers, and their job is to try and trick O3 Mini into, behaving badly.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're simulating real-world scenarios
Yeah.
where someone might try to exploit the AI
Interesting.
for, malicious purposes.
That's a really smart approach so they can like catch these problems before they become real problems. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it seems like OpenAI is really emphasizing safety and responsibility here alongside all of these like incredible performance
Oh,
enhancements.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we talked about performance, safety, accessibility.
Uh-huh.
It seems like this thing's really ticking all the boxes. But where do we go from here? What does O3 Mini tell us about like the future of AI?
Well, I think we're seeing a trend where these smaller, more specialized AI models,
Yeah.
like O3 Mini,
Hmm.
are becoming increasingly powerful and accessible. And I think that suggests a future where AI isn't just for, these huge corporations or research institutions. It's something that anyone can use to improve their work, their research, or even just their understanding of the world.
That's a pretty powerful vision. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities that could come from that. But with this increased accessibility, we have to think about the potential challenges and risks
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
Right.
It's like any powerful technology. There are ethical considerations and
Mm.
potential downsides that we need to be really careful about.
Yeah.
Making sure it's used responsibly and preventing any potential harm.
Right.
That's going to be really crucial as AI becomes more and more part of our lives.
Absolutely. We need to find that balance between encouraging innovation and, protecting ourselves.
Uh-huh.
And that's where, ongoing research and development and thoughtful regulation are going to play a huge role.
For sure.
But for now, let's dive back into the specifics of O3 Mini. I think there's still a lot more to unpack here, like the details of its development and how it could potentially impact different industries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into it.
One thing that really impresses me is how OpenAI really seems to have prioritized building a model that's safe and aligned with, like, human values.
Hmm.
It wasn't just about performance for them.
I'm curious about that. Can you elaborate on what steps they actually took to make sure O3 Mini is, responsible and ethical?
Well, one technique they used is called deliberative alignment. And that basically means they trained O3 Mini to think through these human-written safety guidelines before it responds to any prompts.
So it's not just about reacting to something bad. It's
Yeah.
about like thinking ahead and making sure its responses are ethical.
Exactly. It's like they gave it a built-in moral compass.
That's a pretty big deal, right? That seems like a significant step forward in AI development.
I think so. And they didn't just stop there. They also used red teaming as part of their safety testing.
Red teaming. Sounds intense.
It is. It's basically like they hired a bunch of ethical hackers, and their whole job is to try and break the AI,
Wow.
find its weaknesses.
So they're trying to make it misbehave, like
Right.
deliberately.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a stress test for its safety mechanisms.
That's a really interesting approach.
It lets them identify problems before the AI is ever released to the public,
Yeah.
which is essential.
It's really reassuring to know they're taking those kinds of precautions. But I'm also curious about the impact this could have on different industries. We've talked about STEM fields, but could it be useful in other areas too?
Oh, definitely. You know, O3 Mini's capabilities go way beyond just the technical stuff. With its improved general knowledge and faster processing, it could be a valuable tool in a ton of different fields.
Can you give me some examples? Like, how could we use O3 Mini outside of STEM?
Sure. Imagine using it to power chatbots. They could have much more natural and helpful conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Or in education, it could personalize learning, help students at all different levels.
And what about things like data analysis or research?
Exactly. Fields like finance and healthcare could use it to speed up their work.
It's amazing to think about all the different ways this could change things.
It really could revolutionize how we work, learn, and interact with technology as a whole.
I agree. It's a really exciting time to be following AI. And O3 Mini is a huge step forward. All right, so before we wrap up our deep dive into O3 Mini, let's take a minute to recap the key takeaways here. What are some of the things that really stood out to you about this model?
Well, I think the thing that impresses me the most is how they've managed to combine like raw power with accessibility and a real focus on responsible AI. They've packed a lot of capability into a smaller and more affordable package, and they haven't ignored the ethical implications.
Right, it seems like they're really trying to find that balance between pushing the limits of what AI can do while also making sure that it's used ethically and safely.
Exactly. And all those developer-friendly features we talked about, things like function calling and structured outputs, those are going to make O3 Mini even more appealing for developers.
Yeah, it really makes you think about a future where AI isn't just this specialized tool. It's something that everyone can use to make their work better, their research better, even just their understanding of the world better.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting prospect. And, that brings me to a final thought I want to leave our listeners with. We've spent this episode exploring what O3 Mini can do. We've talked about its potential impact, and we've seen how OpenAI is working to ensure it's used responsibly. But the real question is, what are you going to do with it?
That's a great question. What new possibilities will this unlock for you? I think we're just scratching the surface of what AI can do. And O3 Mini is a perfect example of how fast this field is moving. So go out there and explore, experiment, find ways to use this technology to solve problems, to create new opportunities, and to make the world a better place. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of O3 Mini.